Please take your seats. I'll now hand over to the Secretary of the BJS Foundation, Professor Julio Mayol.
Welcome to the 2025 ceremony celebrating surgical achievement. As a charitable organization, the BJS Foundation supports many surgical organizations in the form of lectureships and prizes. Tonight's award recognizes a discovery, innovation, or scientific study within the field of surgery that has changed clinical practice with a profound impact on patient care. Choosing the winner involved a rigorous process of external review of potential candidates by an experienced international group of expert surgeons, the BJS Foundation Award Committee. The award is made every 2 years, and I am delighted to announce that the recipient for 2025 is Professor James Shapiro, Surgical Director of the Liver Transplant Program, the Living Donor Liver Transplant, and the Islet Transplant Programs at the University of Alberta, Canada. I would now like to invite Professor Stephen Wigmer to deliver the citation.
Chairman, President, Vice President, members of Council, guests, it's a great privilege to deliver this citation honoring the achievements of our second winner of the BJS Award, Professor James Shapiro. James Shapiro was born in Leeds, Yorkshire, and as the son of a family doctor in Leeds, he often accompanied his father to his clinic and sat in on visits. As a 4 or 5-year-old with a stethoscope around his neck, he was fairly sure he wanted to be a doctor. But it wasn't until one of his father's friends allowed him to assist with some surgical procedures at the tender age of only 16 that he decided he would become a surgeon. James spent his medical school and junior years as a doctor in Newcastle upon Tyne, and had an early experience undertaking research in rat pancreatic islets with John Farndon and Tom Leonard. He undertook his clinical surgical training in Bristol, where John Farndon, now chair in Bristol, and Derek Alderson, who's here this evening, had a profound influence on his career and choices. He traveled to Edmonton in Alberta as a surgical fellow to learn liver transplantation, but such were the excellent opportunities for islet cell research in Edmonton that he stayed, setting up both a living donor liver transplant program and a clinical islet transplant program at the same time. Now, at this time in medical history, it's worth noting that islet transplantation was considered a largely experimental procedure, which was rarely, if ever, successful, and probably didn't warrant immunosuppression in its own right. James and his team examined every facet of the process of islet cell procurement, isolation, delivery, and maintenance, and came up with a new protocol, the Edmonton Protocol, which described their techniques and procedures. One of the most significant and impactful changes in this protocol was the move away from steroid-based immunosuppression and to use what were new immunosuppressants, rapamycin and tacrolimus, in combination. The initial Edmonton Protocol paper was a true landmark paper and was published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2000. And it described a series of patients who maintained a prolonged insulin independence following islet transplantation. A 10-center trial followed this, with many more successes, showing that the protocol was transferable, but also highlighting some of the difficulties in delivering such a complicated pathway in less experienced centers. Since that time, thousands of patients have benefited around the world from James and his team's innovations in pancreatic islet transplantation. The Edmonton Protocol has become the basis of the standard of care of patients undergoing islet cell transplantation in all of the different clinical settings where it is used. Patients with highly labile blood sugars who are often unaware of their hypoglycemia and as a consequence were unable to undertake simple tasks such as drive a car, operate machinery, or look after children have had their lives transformed. James remains very much involved in research and has published more than 350 papers. He is currently looking at transforming patients' own stem cells to become islet cells to allow treatment of labile diabetes by autologous transplantation without the need for any immunosuppression, which offers a potential cure for some types of diabetes mellitus. The rubric for this award states that it should represent a discovery, innovation, or scientific study within the field of surgery that has changed clinical practice with a profound impact on patient care. Today's winner, Professor James Shapiro from the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada, fulfills every one of these criteria. It gives me great pleasure, therefore, to call upon the chair of the BJS Foundation, Professor Anders Bergenfelds, to present the BJS Award for 2025 to Professor James Shapiro.
James, in recognition of your enormous contribution to surgical science and its impact of patient care, I'm delighted to present you with this medal and diploma to celebrate your great achievements. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now invited to take photos.
Going to get one with you all standing, seeing as they're all doing it. Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
You are now cordially invited to join us for celebratory drinks in the park view on the sixth floor, where there will be further photo opportunities. Please make your way to the drinks reception. Dinner this evening will be at 8 p.m. Please remain standing while the ceremonial party leaves the room.